Story 1. There is no break. If you do decide to take one, the stressors continue to pile up and everything gets worse. Story 2. Having to do things even if you are very sick, in agonizing pain, or going through a devastating loss. Story 3. Every single thing costs money. You cannot go 5 seconds without spending at least a little money. As a child, you see some of the expenses but do not realize the full extent until you are an adult. Story 4. Remembering how as a child I thought, one day I will grow up and be in control, and then becoming an adult and realizing I am just as helpless. But now I am much more aware of how helpless I am. Story 5. The fact that some people who are supposed to be adults are not acting like adults. I swear, I have been in middle school for over 20 years now. Story 6. Having too much awareness of the injustices, violence, corruption, and terrible things happening in the world can be overwhelming. Even just going on social media, you will see how terrible people can really be. Story 7. Money becomes the most important thing. Want to use the phone? Use it for something that will make you money. Want to go somewhere? You need money. Want to talk to someone? Talk about a productive topic that will make you both money. Want to talk about money? Talk about money even more. Story 8. I would hate it a lot less if full-time pay meant working only 3 days for 5 hours each day. I just don't like the idea that every day of my life, half of my day is spent working. Story 9. I used to say it was all the bills and responsibilities. But after a social event yesterday, I realized it is the constant need to keep up with other people's social standards and expectations. I am tired of altering my personality, my hobbies, my habits, my appearance, the way I talk, just to fit in with people I am not seriously interested in spending time with. I am tired of being only half authentic. I am tired of having to change who I am so others can tolerate having me around. My original personality is not bad at all. There was nothing wrong with me, yet I still had to alter myself to fit in. It is ridiculous, and I resent that society insists on operating this way, as if certain behaviors were a ticket into some very important person club. Story 10. That impending feeling of doom you get when bills pile up, but then you get paid, and the cycle repeats. Story 11. Supposedly being taught right and wrong, how to manage money, how the government is supposed to work, and then graduating high school to see some peak foolish individuals in charge. Story 12. When you go to bed with the feeling that you will have to get up early tomorrow, and that happens almost every day. Story 13. Everything is work. There is the obvious stuff like cleaning, home maintenance, and my job. Even hobbies have become work because I have to carefully manage the time I spend enjoying them so I do not fall behind on other things. Story 14. Honestly, the daunting fact is that one mistake can ruin my life. As a child, there is much forgiveness, but as an adult, you are not supposed to make mistakes because you should know better. Story 15. Paying. Pay for all the things all the time. Bills. Food. Fun times cost money, either due to supplies, luxury, demand, or all of the above. Story 16. No such thing as downtime. Relaxing just means ignoring some responsibilities, but knowing they will catch up to you eventually. I'm exhausted and I'm barely in my 30s. I'm typing this at 11 p.m. and working, knowing I have to wake up at 6 a.m. to work tomorrow and part of Saturday. I also have to do my taxes, grocery shop, do laundry, cook, clean, answer that text, answer that email, fix the door, throw out the trash, go to the dry cleaners, get my hair cut, buy that present, and remember to wish someone happy birthday. All I want is a good book, a cup of tea, and to sit in the sun. Story 17. Not being coddled or babied when I am sick. My parents never did that for me, but my friends' parents used to coddle them when they were sick, and I was always so envious. I had surgery 2 days ago, and I am in agony. I wish I were not alone right now. Story 18. Attending funerals, whether for friends or family, is difficult. It is painful to see the sorrow in the hearts of those who valued the deceased. Story 19. Having to be responsible for more than myself. I can explain my mistakes, but trying to explain why Carl in shipping takes 45-minute and 15-minute breaks to chain smoke with the delivery driver outside gets old real fast. Especially when you cannot fire him because no one wants his job. Carl is a made-up name, by the way. Sorry to all the Carls out there. Story 20. Having to heal trauma I felt that I couldn't face safely or properly as a child or younger adult. Now that I have a better support network, while still being expected to work with people who do not care about me as an employee. Story 21. Being old enough to know that a small portion of my paycheck is funding immigration and customs enforcement and make America great against racist agenda. Story 22. Oh, and when you were not an adult, if you wanted a grilled cheese sandwich, you simply had to say it and a grilled cheese appeared. Story 23. Sometimes the responsibilities of adulthood can feel like a loss of freedom. When you are a child, you feel free, and every day is yours and carefree. Story 24. For me, it is all the meals I have to plan every day, multiple times a day. I literally starve sometimes because I just do not want to plan a meal, buy the ingredients, cook, clean, and then do it all again multiple times a day. I get very angry about it. Story 25. I have to make my own doctor appointments, figure out who to call, deal with insurance, and schedule them in advance. Story 26. Saving face, playing nice, whatever you want to call it. I hate all the little white lies and social rules. Story 27. The needing to be a responsible adult to stay out of trouble part. My spirit animal is an insanely spoiled rich kid who bribes poor people to fight to the death for his amusement while he falsely promises the winner a shiny crust of bread, only to feed that poor wretch to the next group of contestants so they may experience a moment of nutrition before they are thrown into the pit for more blood sports. Also, I do not like how rent keeps going up. Story 28. Keeping on top of things leaves little time for yourself. This often leads to seeking easy rewards like overeating and not exercising. Story 29. Cleaning the kitchen constantly and forever. Why is it never clean and tidy? I open a packet of cookies, and somehow there are 2 dirty pots, 5 dirty plates, and no cutlery left. Story 30. Constant hamster wheel of working, cleaning, errands, bills, cooking, grocery shopping, laundry, dishes, obligations, non-stop tasks. No break, very little escape. Feels suffocating. Story 31. You have to deal with emergencies yourself. Your cat is sick or dying. You have to go to the veterinarian, listen and approve a treatment plan, pay $900, and give medicine to your angry cat. Your basement flooded. You have to handle the repairs and insurance. Your car got stuck in snow during the worst storm in decades, and even tow trucks cannot make it. You have to find your way home and deal with retrieving your abandoned car. A loved one dies. You have to plan the funeral, act as the executor of the estate, visit a lawyer, and pay their debts. Your spouse had surgery. You take care of them and manage everything while they recover. You are now a caregiver. Your toilet broke. You have to deal with the mess and pay hundreds of dollars to a plumber. This is all while working a full-time job. I have good friends and family to lean on, but it is not the same as when you were a child and others took care of the difficult things in life. Story 32. The fact that you can be 12 years into adulthood, I am 30, and still not know what to do with your life. I feel like everyone is just playing pretend and going through the motions. Story 33. 40-hour work weeks do not pay the bills. You need a certain personality to be promoted. Health insurance and the expectation of giving notice when resigning without receiving the same courtesy if fired are concerns. Grocery prices are rising. Insurance does not cover everything. Pay time off does not accrue, or you are expected to use it for everything. Story 34. Having to decide what is for dinner every single night for the rest of my life. I would rather do taxes than answer, "What do you feel like eating?" one more time. Story 35. Honestly, the random things my body is doing now, like hemorrhoids, are frustrating. As a kid, you eat chicken nuggets all day and do not worry about fiber intake. Story 36. I did not really feel like an adult until I had adult children. What I hate most is watching in horror as they make decisions that I know will alter the course of their lives, but there is no way to reach them or keep them from the pain and frustration that I know is coming to them. This hurts my heart. I once heard, "There is no kindness in giving the answer before the question is asked." Story 37. People assume I have all the social and developmental skills of an adult when I am autistic and am probably still barely on the verge of having the skills of a 17-year-old, if not younger. Story 38. The whole idea that actions have consequences means you could go to jail, lose your house, or die. Sometimes all three. Story 39. The never-ending list of things to do. I feel like I have to force myself to relax, which obviously does not relax me at all. Story 40. Just being able to lie at home and listen to music to pass the time, especially on a warm day when you can feel a breeze through the window. Perfect. Story 41. This is more of a pushing middle age kind of thing, but having to care about what I eat. From age 0 to around 30, I could just eat whatever I wanted. 5 slices of pizza for dinner? Sure. All the carbohydrates. Yes, please. Sugar, salt, fat? Not a problem. But now I have to think about calories, blood pressure, hypertension, blood sugar, and not progressing to type 2 diabetes, cholesterol, reducing caffeine and alcohol, as well as avoiding a bunch of foods that interfere with some medications I take. It is exhausting and depressing, and I miss just not having to think about what I eat. Now my day is full of intrusive thoughts of cravings and me having to shut them down with, but I cannot eat that. Story 42. Teamwork. As kids, you could easily gather a group of like-minded peers to complete a task that would otherwise be impossible to achieve at your home, like convincing each other's parents that we were sleeping over at the next kid's house. These days, we cannot even gather a group of people to vote an unfit politician out of office. Story 43. Eating fast food and ice cream results in a noticeable increase in body fat overnight. Eating well and engaging in regular intense exercise can lead to noticeable results within weeks, unless you consume more fast food and ice cream during that time, which would negate the progress. Story 44. Politics. Seeing what is going on and knowing how it will play out, just how incredibly selfish the Republican Party is, how it is destroying America, and how many people do not seem to understand. Story 45. My body is falling apart, but I am still young enough to think I can do things I cannot actually do anymore. As a kid, jumping 15 feet down from a tree was easy. As an adult, missing a step can leave me crippled for days. Story 46. The never-ending yearly payment of taxes, both on property and wages. Vehicle tags are less frequent since I drive a very old SUV. Story 47. I lost all of my friends. We just don't seem to align anymore. We are all on different planes of existence. That's okay and natural. Now I need to find new people on my level and befriend them. Finding them is the hard part. Story 48. Nobody has your back. You are all alone. Your parents and mentors are passing away. Your friends are passing away. Nobody cares. Story 49. The rubber band that holds me together is under more strain than an elephant balancing on a raw egg. Story 50. Paying taxes on taxed money for a tip service. Then the service provider paying taxes on the same money I gave them. Basically trading my life to pay endless taxes. That is the worst part of being an adult. Story 51. Knowing that this is it. All the people in the world keeping us from chaos are the same age as you, and they likely grew up with the same negative beliefs and public education. Story 52. 1. Putting on a duvet cover. 2. Taking off a duvet cover. 3. Deciding what to eat for dinner every day for the rest of my life. Story 53. The uncertainty of tomorrow. We did everything we were supposed to do. Study for years, get jobs, and pursue promotions and pay raises when possible in corporate settings, yet we still cannot afford to buy a home. We rent for years, paying other people's mortgages while hoping to survive the next wave of redundancies so we can continue paying rent. The lack of certainty and control at such a basic level makes it difficult to enjoy other aspects of adult life. Story 54. Wasting over 60 hours every week so I can partly enjoy about 8 hours. The rest is just startup, shutdown time, or chores. Story 55. Debt and never having enough money to enjoy life. I have been in survival mode for the past 3 years. I lost my early 20s because of the financial stresses of adulthood. Story 56. Bills, not the annoyance of paying them, but the abrupt and insufficient notice that their prices increase. Story 57. Grocery shopping. I always forget something even with a list. I feel like I have to go every day sometimes because I get home and then realize we are almost out of toilet paper or something else important I missed. Story 58. I am highly disconnected from everything, including my own family. People just acknowledge it and consider it to be fine. They see me as the beginning of a new variation, but that is a very unusual proposal for a new kind of association. Such an idea would only be accepted by those who are traumatized, sexually fixated, and perverse. Story 59. I bought a house, and because I work all day, then go to workout, shop, and maybe visit a friend, I rarely get more than a couple of hours to enjoy my house. Story 60. Taxes, and regardless of how horribly you were raised, adulthood is mostly unforgiving. Just my opinion, though. Story 61. Juggling everything. I hate feeling like I have a never-ending list of tasks and never getting everything I need done. Remembering that thing I told myself I would do months ago still has not been completed. Story 62. Commuting. I can do my job perfectly fine from my home office. The baby boomer chief executive officer of the company called everyone back in, thankfully on a hybrid schedule so people could interact. He enjoys walking around the building and saying good morning to everyone the 3 to 4 times a month he is actually in the office. Meanwhile, the majority of my meetings since adopting the hybrid model have been on Microsoft Teams. Story 63. Between work, raising a child, and household responsibilities, I have very little time to do the things I truly want to do. And when I do have time, I am completely exhausted. Story 64. Having to figure out what to eat, manage bills, schedule appointments, keep the house clean, remember everyone's birthdays, all while trying not to fall apart. Story 65. Having to take care of myself is also the part that I love the most, as I can choose what I do, but I am bad at it. As someone who has struggled with depression and anxiety their whole life, I do not care enough about myself to do it properly. It is exhausting. Story 66. Remembering all the responsibilities you now have. Doctor and dentist appointments, income tax filing, paying bills, grocery shopping, driver's license renewal, and more. Story 67. You grow older and things with health decline. If you are a child, you improve every year as you age. Story 68. Late life diagnosed attention deficit hyperactivity disorder has been a blessing and a curse. I now know for the first time since I was a child that I am not weird. I just have interesting superpowers. That said, accepting it, the continued violent mood swings, and the many pills have been difficult. I will never be forgiven and cannot make amends for behavior I did not understand or control. I have lost everyone, and my wife is a shell of the woman I married because of it. Story 69. That many people want to exploit you for their own personal gain, and you do not know who they are until it happens. Story 70. Despite the universal feeling of loneliness at that time, nearly every adult willingly participates in it, knowing it leaves many in a state of desperation by neglecting relationships. Story 71. Realizing how deliberately unwilling many adults are to grow up. There are 50-year-olds who still have the same level of self and situational awareness as a 15-year-old, and the same willingness to take accountability. Story 72. Never feeling good enough to have actual friends or being abandoned soon after starting friendships, especially by girls. Story 73. Having to choose what other people will get for dinner only to have them say, "Oh, I don't feel like that tonight." Story 74. Not having your friends around all the time and simply enjoying wholesome fun together. Also, being responsible and accountable for things. Story 75. The loss of wonder, like the feeling you had when you were 8 to 12 years old, or the freedom of 14 to 17 years of age before adult responsibilities. Story 76. I actually love being an adult. One time I got sick, and one day later my 3-month-old child did too, and I still had to take care of him. I probably passed my flu virus on to him. There was no way I could have avoided that. That was very difficult, taking care of your sick child while being sick. Story 77. Going from 12 weeks of holidays a year when you are at school to only 4 weeks a year when you start working as an adult. Story 78. Mostly the other adults, children, bills, work, taxes, never-ending laundry, and dishes. Story 79. Nothing. I have accepted my destiny without making prejudices or evaluations about the duties or responsibilities that I now carry, including taxes in Europe. Story 80. People are saying they will give me a certain amount of gas money, then come to my door asking if $20 is okay. No, you said 40 and you still owe me from all the other times. Feels like chaotic energy. Also, people say we are going to two places, but then keep changing plans. Next thing I know, I am at the Veterans of Foreign Wars Hall in the Northeast listening to someone loudly criticize the Constitution. Story 81. I am mostly able to cope, but every now and then, the creeping feeling that my life is going to fall apart explodes, and I become convinced that I will fail my family and we will all end up in a terrible situation. However, most days are usually pleasant experiences. Story 82. Taxes. I had to pay over $6,000 when I was 18. It felt so unfair. I was just starting out. No one takes my chronic illnesses seriously anymore since I am an adult. People expect you to just deal with it because you have many more responsibilities now. Story 83. Sometimes when I make a mistake or am feeling down, I just want to go home to a dinner cooked by my mother and have my mother and father tuck me into bed for an early night. I am in my 40s with children. Story 84. Knowing you have to work and will likely never retire because your parents chose to have a child without being wealthy. Seeing all your regrets in life accumulate. Seeing people your age and even 10 years younger find success in life while you have none. Story 85. I have seen homeless people actively dying, overdose symptoms, large gashing wounds, blue in the face, and no one even bothers to call emergency services. I have called emergency services 4 times to send an ambulance for someone who needs help. Everyone around me did not care, and it was daylight, not even after work when people are tired going home. It is crazy how other adults will not even call emergency services. You do not have to help them, just call someone. Zero kindness in the adult world. Story 86. Having to do it all. Work 8 hours, spend weekends cleaning, cooking, doing laundry, running errands, grocery shopping, attending doctor appointments, school meetings, fundraisers, field trips, clothes shopping, and fixing non-issues, plus dealing with in-law dramas. Exhausted for 21 years. Then less of each to do, but still doing it all and alone. Everyone wonders why wives did not like going out on Saturday nights to party. Too tired. Story 87. Some chores are very repetitive. Washing dishes, doing laundry, changing bedding, vacuuming, and tidying up. Some days feel like Groundhog Day because no matter how much washing you do, there is more in the hamper within minutes, or more dishes in the sink waiting to be washed. There is never a break. Story 88. Cooking even when you are very tired or not in the mood because you do not want to get sick again after eating outside food. Having to do things on your own without anyone's help. The daily decrease in the number of friends. Being with people despite knowing their true nature because you have to be there and do not want to be an outcast. Story 89. Currently, everything seems to be a me job, and I am the only one holding things together. I just want to disappear for a couple of weeks and do what I want to do, what makes me feel happy, rather than doing everything to make everyone else happy and stress-free. Story 90. Confronting my parents' mortality. Being aware that the older I get, the closer I am to having to live without them. Story 91. Loved ones and animals dying is always difficult and sad. You are never fully prepared and have to grieve differently each time. Story 92. I have to act like an adult. Period. I'm 50, and adulting is so boring. Monotonous. If it's not boring, it's very stressful. Same routine every day. Same shopping every weekend. Same traffic every day. Add kids and you get non-stop stress. Your washer breaks, the fridge stops working, the car gets broken into. More stress. I miss watching cartoons, riding bikes, climbing trees, and not having to be responsible for anything. Story 93. Work is definitely the top priority and it never gets easier. My partner and I wake up every day and complain about having to go to work, and we are both in our 30s. However, I also hate knowing too much. Ignorance really is bliss. I think I was a lot happier when I believed in God, was not aware that sugar can cause insulin resistance, and thought the world was a caring place where there is someone for everyone and good things happen to good people. Story 94. Also, everything you look forward to doing as an adult, such as sex, alcohol, and being able to buy treats, is either bad for you or turns out to be a curse. Story 95. 6:30 to 7 o'clock, wake up, let dog out, get clothes ready, feed dog, eat breakfast. 7 to 4 o'clock, work, including shower and commute. 4 to 5 o'clock, take care of dog, walk, play, feed, clean. 5 to 6 o'clock, yard work and errands. 6 to 7 o'clock, cook, eat, and clean up dinner. 7 to 8 o'clock, housework, laundry, cleaning, making beds. 8 to 9 o'clock, get ready for tomorrow and prepare for bed. 9 to 9:30, get excited about watching television, then fall asleep almost immediately. As another commenter mentioned, there is no break. I do not even have children yet. Story 96. Having to decide what to cook for dinner every night for children who appear to be allergic to vegetables. Story 97. Dude, where do I start? Mostly, I am forced to go to the same place almost every day for at least 8 hours, just to stay barely afloat in a society that delights in charging me for nearly every element of simply being alive. Meanwhile, the part of me that is not entirely void of love and emotion wants to go to shows, travel to other countries, and have great experiences with new people. But that usually costs money too, and I barely have any left after paying off every person charging me, as if having a roof over my head is a luxury instead of a basic human right. I do not resent the idea of working to contribute to society. I just wonder at what point I will start having opportunities to enjoy life and not feel like I am going to work until I die just to stay out of debt. Story 98. The saying, "Life is just one difficult thing after another," is a gross understatement. The difficult things overlap. The Cincinnati Enquirer, Ohio, February 21st, 1947. Story 99. Some people do not know what adult means. Please get a dictionary and find out the meaning of adult. Story 100. Work, health issues, responsibility for everything, no time for anything, time passes at the speed of light, exhaustion. Story 101. Older family members trying to take control or strongly influence most things you do, or is that just my family? Story 102. Work and bills. Like, forget you. I don't want to work just so I can afford the basic things everyone needs. I want to live without the threat of existence. Story 103. Being told to grow up. I have a Star Wars collection that I love. It is not like I play with the toys. They simply remind me of the wonderful childhood I had and my love for those films. I occasionally build Lego sets. It is a fun hobby. I have some movie posters hanging on my walls. I am a movie buff, and I think some movie posters are quite artful. I occasionally play with a yo-yo. It is something I cannot explain, but playing with it can calm my nerves. I still enjoy watching the old Disney classics like Snow White and Pinocchio. They are beautiful films. I live alone, and I have no children, so if these are the things I want in my adult life, who am I hurting? Of course, I do set some boundaries, but I just do not understand why I should be judged for these things. If I am a man baby, well, so be it. I am not changing myself for anyone. Story 104. The number of hours you have to commit to work and the lack of energy and time you have for yourself create a difficult situation. Story 105. Having to always look out for myself because nobody else ever does. It is always me helping others. But when I need help, I only have myself. Story 106. The grind just never stops. I take 2 days off leading into a weekend every few months, but that is it. Those days inevitably get filled up by my wife with errands to run. I never get to just relax for a whole day or two. There is always something that has to be done. Story 107. While the quality of friendships has improved, the number has decreased substantially, mostly because it seems harder to maintain them. Story 108. That everything wrong in your life is seen as your own fault by society and therefore not worth fixing. An adult's life is considered less valuable than a child's life. Story 109. Having to deal with all the other people. I don't mind the other things. Those are part of the experience. But my God, the other adults are either so full of themselves, know-it-alls, egotistic, or dense. I just want to read a good book, spend time with my family, and spend my waking moments remembering that this is all a game we made up. Story 110. The chaos never stops, and I do not have children. I could not imagine how I would handle it with little ones. Props to parents. Story 111. You have no money. You need your own money to buy things. There is never enough time to do what you want. Cleaning seems to take up every day. And laundry is endless. Driving around to do errands. Paying bills. Spending large amounts of money to fix your car. People are very judgmental, especially if you have a childlike sense of wonder and enjoy doing silly fun things. You can never get enough sleep. You are often in pain, frequently sick, always at the grocery store, often angry or annoyed, especially by young people partying. You are very aware of how terrifying the world is, so your anxiety is greatly increased. You are very aware of your mortality. You start losing your loved ones. If you are not disabled like me, you have to work more than 40 hours a week and still do not have enough money to survive. Story 112. Being the youngest daughter and taking care of everyone when they get sick is draining when combined with regular life tasks. Story 113. I just turned 19. The additional documents I need to obtain and the bureaucracy involved in getting those documents are challenging. Also, taxes. I understand why we need them, but I really dislike taxes. Story 114. Endless paperwork, payments, and insurance to worry about. You would think technology is here to improve things, and it does to some degree, but the procedures are also insane. Story 115. Money is everything, and I hate that. It is rarely in excess, just chasing dollars to live a simple life with minimal fun. Story 116. Maybe it's not even the having to work part, but the paying bills with all my working money. Like if you work and then give all the money to all the services, and you have like $1, the services don't even feel worth it and you feel like you worked for $1. I'm about to change my phone plan to one of those cheaper companies, because why am I paying so much for Verizon Communications? I'm choosing which streaming services I will keep using, since they all add up to the cost of cable now. Story 117. Honestly, probably the realization that I both had more free time and more money to spend as a child. The last part is a bit of an exaggeration, but everything is so costly nowadays that it honestly feels like it could be true. Story 118. Every day there is something challenging. It never stops. When I was a child, I did not have nearly as many problems, issues, or hassles. As an adult, every day there is something challenging. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.